What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Spoiling Movies. My name is Chris, and I'm going to tell you all about a movie that I just watched, and I'm going to tell you everything that I felt about it. This week's movie is Tag. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys that it was fun, and I do recommend it, and you should watch it. It was a pretty nice, fun little comedy. Now I'm going to spoil everything for you. It opens with some narration talking about growing up and kids playing games with their friends, and they keep showing these kids, and they're growing up, and they're playing tag, and they keep the tag game going. It's a tag movie. They show Ed Helms applying for a janitor job, and the guy doing the interview is like, "You're like a doctor. Like, why would you be applying for a janitor job? I should just throw you out of here just on principle." And he's like, "Well, like I'm just trying to do this thing." But really, he's applying for the janitor job at the business that John Hamm is like a CEO or something in, and he's just so he's trying to be a janitor. He's got on a fake mustache and a wig, and he's like backing into the room with John Hamm talking to some reporter lady, and he's just trying to get close enough to him, and he like turns around and sees him, and John Hamm is like, "You really think there's no way out of this room?" He picks up a chair, throws it at the window, it bounces the chair back at him and knocks him on his face, and Ed Helms tags him. Ed Helms tells John Hamm that one of their friends is quitting the game, so they gotta get together. The group, the reporter's like, "What the hell's going on here? Why are you about to go walk off and do some crazy shit?" And John Hamm and Ed Helms explain to the reporter girl that they've been playing tag for 30 years. They have a group of friends. They've been just, every May they get together and they keep this tag game going. And the reporter lady's like, "Well, I'm going to go with you. This is a crazy story. I might as well be telling this story." They start telling the reporter lady about Jerry, which is Jeremy Renner. He is he's fast and he's crazy when he's never been tagged. He's never been it. He's got like weird reflexes when he gets backed into a corner. Ed Helms' wife in the movie is the actress I keep forgetting. She looks a little bit like Amy Adams. I can't remember her name, but I always think she's like a fun, crazy lady. She shows up at Stoner Dude's house, which is Jake Johnson, and she says some questionable shit, and he's like, "What the hell? You're trying to tag me. Something's going on here." So he starts like running out of the house, and he sees Ed Helms, and he's like, "You can't get out this way." And he's like, "Bullshit." So he starts running, and they like chase Ed Helms and his wife chase Jake Johnson through like some other people's houses and shit. And Jake is like running off, and Ed Helms is like, "I wasn't the one that was it." And John Hamm just shows up right in front of him, and he's like, "No, you're it." So they talk to him, and they say, "Hey, Jerry's going to be, out of the game. He's going to get married, blah, blah, blah." Hannibal Buress is in a therapy session, and the therapist hears weird noises in the closet. She opens the closet door. There's John Hamm, Jake Johnson, Ed Helms. They were hiding, but they heard him talking about some weird therapy shit, so they come out, and they're like, "Well, this is weird now." And, of course, they tag him, and then they all, have the discussion about Jerry and decide to go to Washington. In Washington, they go to what they call the War Room, which was like their childhood like basement in Ed Helms' mom's house. And there's like games and shit. It's like a cool little game room. They all start talking about how they're going to get Jerry at the wedding, like how it's going to go down. They go to a local bar, and they know the guy, the bartender, and the bartender guy's like, "I want to play the game. Like, get me involved in the game." They're like, "You're not a part of the game. You'll never be a part of the game." And he's like, "Well, fine. I'm not going to tell you where he is." And they're like, "Well, we got reporter lady, and she's going to put you in a story about Tag with us if you tell us where he was." So they go and find where Jerry is, and they ambush him. But he goes into like slow-mo Sherlock Holmes, like the new Sherlock Holmes stuff, where he's like, "He's coming in from this angle, but he's not watching his footsteps. If I do this thing and do that." He starts doing that inner monologue and like avoiding them slow motion style. And he like jumps out a window. All the dudes are like looking through the window, and he's like down on the ground like, "I didn't invite you to my wedding because of this and this, but if you guys are going to be a part of it, then there needs to be some rules. I don't want you messing up my wedding." So they go inside, and they meet his wife-to-be, and they discuss amendments to their original rules, not during the ceremony and not during the reception. During very, very specific moments, it's okay, but not, don't fuck up the wedding. They break into Jerry's house late at night, and they're sneaking around, and one of the guys goes to a room, and it's got like blueprints and like weird plans, and he sees like there's like chemicals and weird shit. I'm like, this guy's fucking nuts. All of the dudes end up in rooms in Jerry's house where they have screens, and all the screens come on, and Jerry explains to them that he is in Ed's bedroom. It's like, how did he get into his bedroom? And he's like, he's got like his teddy bear, and he's got like some lotion, and he's like, they imply that he's gonna like jack off with the teddy bear or something. And he's like, oh, how did he get in my house? And so they leave and they go back to his house and they're like, there's nobody here. And Jerry had actually made a place in his basement that looked exactly like Ed Helms' like childhood room. And he was just faking it. And he's like, you're all amateurs. Jerry's walking through the mall and there's an old lady. And the old lady starts like kind of looking at him. And Jerry looks down at his shoes, goes into slow-mo Sherlock mode. He's like, those shoes were meant for an older gentleman, not one that's very athletic. And Helms just kind of attacks him while he's wearing like a shawl and he's got a walker and shit. Jerry ends up with Ed's purse and he's using it like nunchucks and shit and he's slapping him in the face. And then he ends up getting the walker and like landing on top of Ed Helms. He's actually perched on top of it all the way, just like down on his chest. Ed Helms is like, I could put you in jail for this. And then it would just be me and you in a room, and you'd definitely get tagged. It wouldn't be like that, because I'd fuck somebody up, and they'd put me in, like, solitary, and then you wouldn't be able to tag me ever. So they're all at the wedding reception. Jake and John Hamm notice that there's a girl that they both liked and both had, romantic entanglements with back in their high school days or whatever. And so they go try to talk to her, and it, like, kind of breaks up the situation, because, like, after the reception's over, all the dudes are like, go, 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 like he's head toward this door or whatever, like the door's unguarded, because he invited her on purpose to fuck up their team up thing. The other three dudes jump on a golf cart and chase Jerry through some golf course, and it's silly, and they pass by the reporter girl and what's her face wife, Ed Helms' wife. Why don't you play the game? Well, they said there's no girls allowed, but she's like yelling, she's like, go get him, you son of a bitch, don't let him fucking get away. And then they get into a wreck and Jerry gets away like in the woods. And then Ozzy's Crazy Train starts playing, and all of a sudden it's all very smoky in the woods. And like Jerry's behind trees, and he's over here. But now there's like multiple Jerrys running behind trees, and they're all like, well, this is fucking nuts. One of the guys gets nailed with like a log tied to some ropes. It swings down, hits him in the chest, and he falls back. Ed Helms is creeping around looking for him, and he gets tied up in a net up in a tree, and he's in this crazy net. And he's like, you're the last one, you gotta go do it. So the last dude's sneaking up on Jerry, and he like grabs him, and he's like, it's you, man, we got you. And he turns around, and it's not him. And Jerry like walks up behind him, fucking like chloroforms him or something, and ties him to a tree. And he wakes up in a car with all the other dudes, and they're like, yeah, you got us. They're on their way back somewhere. All the dudes go down to the mall where Jerry works at a gym, and they go and try to bribe one of the dudes that works for him. And the guy's like, no way, it's not going to happen. And they offer him like $2,000. And he's like, no, man. So then they get real serious, and they like take him down to like a basement area, and they got him all tied up, and they're like, we're going to waterboard your ass. And fucking Ed Helms' wife is there being crazy, like, hey, motherfucker. So they're like about to do it. They got like a towel on his face, and then they're like, this is a little dark, right? Like, yeah, so they back off, and they're like, we don't need to do that shit. The guy ends up being like, just give me a little bit more money and I'll tell you what you need to know. And he's like, yeah, he goes to AA. So I give him some information and where he goes to AA, so they're going to go there and get him. They go to the church where his AA meetings are held, and they start locking up and tying up all the doors. Jerry starts doing his thing. Hi, my name's Jerry, I'm an alcoholic. And like mid-meeting, he goes back into Sherlock mode. And he's like, I smell the faint aroma of marijuana. And that's when Jake starts running at him from the back. I'll give him a wake-up call. And like throws hot coffee in his face. He's like, rah! Then the other dude starts running up at him, and he's like, pew! He's like, have a taste of these fucking donuts. He just starts grabbing donuts and just expertly flinging them in the face, and it's like, just like nailing him with donuts. The last dude starts running at him, and he grabs a fire extinguisher and goes, and then he gets up to a window, and he's about to jump out, and he sees that there's mouse traps. They've laid mouse traps all over the yard outside the window, and he's like, all right, well done. And he jumps down, runs toward the kitchen, pulls down a little thing. He locks himself in the kitchen. Jerry's wife runs up and is banging on the kitchen thing, like I need help. What are you doing in there? And she starts going like having some problems. She's pregnant, and she's like I need you to come out. Like this is not something's going on, and they're all freaking out. And so he comes out and he takes her away. They find out that the wedding has been postponed. because of whatever's happening with the lady. They start thinking, well, maybe this is maybe he's doing this on purpose. Maybe he's tricking us. So they decide to make a fake Instagram account for Jon Hamm because there was some high school girl that had a thing for Jon Hamm. So by making an account for him, the girl immediately contacts him and is has pictures of her going to the wedding. So they're like, the wedding's still going on. So they show up at the wedding, and the Jerry's wife is just like, oh, it's so good to see you guys here. She's all happy. Everything's perfect. And they're like, what the hell? Thought you were doing this thing. Like, nah, well, he's never been tagged, and I'm not going to let him get tagged because we're about to be married. We're never going to, be beat.
We're a team.
So they sit there. They go through with it. The wedding's happening. As soon as the priest guy says, do you guys say I do? And as soon as they say I do, Ed Helms is like, this is my moment. So he rushes over there, and he imagines in his head that he nails Jerry and gets him, and he's tagged. But in reality, he's actually taken out the priest, just fucking nailed him. And everybody's like, oh shit, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then they're like, Ed's not waking up. He's unconscious. It's like, well, nobody knows what's going on. They all go to the hospital. Ed tells them that he's got a tumor, and he doesn't know how much longer he has, so he wanted to get everybody together one last time to just have fun and, be kids again. Ed Helms had lied about the Jerry quitting the game. He wasn't going to quit. He just wanted to trick everybody into being together one more time. Jerry comes into the hospital room, and Ed Helms is like, come over, man. Do you want to know what it feels like to be tagged at all, So he comes in, he's like, you're tagged now. It's your turn. You're it. So then they end up chasing each other around the hospital. They even amend the rules so that the wife and the reporter can play. Girls are allowed now. Everybody's running through the hospital, and they're tagging each other, being goofballs. And Ed Helms is, he's got his IV thing with him, and he's still tagging, chasing around, and they're running through the hallways. They're having fun. And then during the credits, they show real footage of of the real people that did it in real life for 30 years. And so there's some neat little clips of them. And that's the movie. It was kind of nice. It was fun. It had moments of fun little comedy. It had nice action. The music was actually really, really good. They had some cool, rock, 90s rock classics and just, some fun stuff. The camera shots were very, very well done. Everything looked very, very good. Everything worked very well. The acting was fun and fine for the comedic tone. Everything they were going for seemed to work. It's one of those rare comedies that kind of works, even though it looks kind of stupid and silly. And it had a lot of heart. In the end, it was all about friends sticking together, just spending time with the people that you love and having fun, being a kid until the day you die, all that kind of stuff. That was Spoiling Movies, the Tag Movie edition. I hope you guys had fun watching. I had fun making it for you. If you feel like leaving a comment, I always love hearing what you guys have to say. And the reason I do it is just to maybe see a movie that you haven't thought of, or maybe not see it because it's bad or good or whatever. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.